Welcome to Behind the Podcast Mic, the podcast for podcasters and those ready to hit record for the first time. Join your host, Emanuel Rose, for a show that's your go-to resource for everything podcasting. In each episode, we'll pull back the curtain on what makes podcasting such a powerful tool for connection, authority, and growth. Whether you're just starting out or looking to sharpen your skills, this show will guide you through the art and strategy of building a podcast that stands out. We'll dive into solo insights, guest interviews, and real-world best practices, all designed to help you master the mic. Behind the Mic is sponsored by FluentFrame, a creative partner that transforms your ideas into polished episodes and lasting digital assets. So tune in and learn how podcasting can grow your audience, expand your network, and position you as a thought leader in your field. Let's step behind the mic.
Welcome to this episode of Behind the Podcast Mic. I'm Emanuel Rose, host, and I have Georgi Nenov here with me again as in our series talking about the fundamentals of podcasting. And Georgi is a renowned podcaster from Bulgaria with over 500 episodes to his credit. Topics around being superhuman, around inspirational stories, and also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Georgi, I really appreciate your time today to talk about how to be a good podcast host.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, Emmanuel. It's always a pleasure answering your insightful questions. So I really hope that whatever I'm bringing to the table helps the people that are in the beginning of their podcast journey or just considering taking off right now.
Yeah, well, and there's always more to learn, right? I think about some of the podcast greats and some of the TV greats out here in the United States. We had an interviewer named Charlie Rose, who was not related to me, who had a series where he would interview some of the most powerful or interesting people from all over the world, and he would always be able to engage people emotionally, even though they've been through thousands of interviews. So that's one of my aspirations. We all want to be the next Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss or somebody who is meaningfully impacting our culture. And I'm really interested to hear about kind of some of the early mistakes that you made as a podcast host, and then what your process has developed into now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting journey going back 9 years ago, almost to the date, when I started my podcast with the idea of having great conversations with great people. 4 episodes, later, I realized that I'm lacking structure. So this was probably the first very, very important lesson that I got as a podcast host, that I need structure. What do I need structure for? I need structure to make the substance of the conversations easier to be perceived by the audience. What do I mean? When you're spreading everywhere and a conversation that doesn't have a structure usually can go in directions that you don't want it to go, or into surprising and interesting ones that you really want to go there, but you don't know that these roads exist. The structure is the thing that is a skeleton of the podcast's body. I'm starting from the toes and I need to go all the way up until the head and the hair. So what you want to have in the beginning is this bone skeleton structure that in my podcast is defined by the timeline of the superhuman that I'm interviewing. So where were you when you were a kid? What were you doing? What kind of friends did you have? What kind of education did you got and why? What did you learn on the way towards your high school, then on the way to your university? And because in Bulgaria it's from high school directly to university, we don't have a college. And then why did you decide not to go to university, or why did you decide to do this and that? And then I start exploring. But I always have the structure to go back to. So, for example, you, Emmanuel, are visiting my podcast. You're sharing your life story, how you find your first job. Then you decided that you won't go to university, and then you start going with a story somewhere else. And at some point, you say, "Then I leave the job. Then I had to leave the job," and I bring you back, saying, okay, you were at the point that you decided that you won't need to have a university degree. Now you are unemployed again. Did this change your mind then? So I bring you back towards the important decisions in a person's life. And this is how I built authentic story. So the goal is to have an authentic story of a person.
I
And
like
the
that.
structure is the thing that allows me not to go too far away from it, not to go into like details that are really unnecessary and don't bring any value to the conversation. And is my also my first lesson: have a structure. How did I find this structure? I started writing down questions, and secondly, I started listening to podcasts that are identical in terms of my gut feeling of how my podcast should look like. So I copy and adapt, and I write down questions, getting myself prepared for a conversation. And I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, what kind of books were you reading back then? Or what kind of people were you hanging around? Did you have a good environment? Or how were your friends treating your idea or your willingness to do something new, something that's not known, something that's exciting for you, but probably scary for the others? And then I always have question to go back to, because random conversations really are like a ship without steering. But as soon as you have questions, you can know, okay, I need to turn like 15 degrees to the west or to the north, whatever. So have questions, and then build upon your questions towards finding the perfect structure. If you have a topic, let's say health, it might be too vague. So if you want to talk about health, okay, let's talk about these four elements: sleep, activity, nutrition, and I don't know, stress. And then in these four, you have three, four questions in every category. And then you can have this very wide subject structured. But you can say, okay, I want to have Emmanuel on my podcast and have these four topics separately. So I'm going deeper into the topics. And then you get a structure for sleep only, or for even for like mattress and duvets and temperature. You can go really, really deep on this, which also is a great opportunity for podcasters to go deep on particular niches, which is something that I would highly recommend if you have a hobby, like say World of Warcraft or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Do something that's really narrow in it, in the field, in this subject matter, because the podcasts are the new blogs, and people can develop small audiences that are sustainable, viable audiences that want to interact with the hosts. And this is also going to make you a better host, because there will be suggestions, advice. There will be other questions coming from other people that are consuming your content. So these are the things that I would really push new hosts to work on. So listen to other podcasts, create a structure, and like look for ways to get questions to make a structure. Like it's yeah, it's something that I would, if I had to go back in time, I would definitely start with being a bit more structured. And then with the experience, you get better and better with the questions that you ask, with your voice. How do you handle uh, different situations, different languages, different stories? How do you express amazement? How do you express sorrow in the podcast? Things are usually happening unplanned. So I've been crying on my podcast because sometimes people share touching stories,
Sure.
and it's normal. And this is why we love podcasts, because they are authentic and real. They are not like TV shows that everything is staged. So being human is something that you need to maintain, for me to be a good host, because in front of you there's another human, and this conversation need to remain as non um, AI or non-robotic as possible.
I agree.
Even if you have like ChatGPT questions, like try to say them in your own words. Don't follow it uh, tit for tat.
Yeah, understood. Talk to me a little bit about how long your episodes are, what the length, do they always are, and have they been the same length through the whole run?
No, this is also something that grew up with me and my confidence of hosting a conversation. In the beginning, I knew that I'm inexperienced and I needed to get some fights under my belt. So I started with 30 to 45 minutes. Then the better the questions, the better the answers, sometimes longer. Every time that you have an answer that's too short or very interesting, you can always add up to it by saying, do you have a story that's related to this particular situation or um, advice? And people are like, oh, I really do. Or someone shares his motto and you say, how, where did you learn this from and how did it get to you? Like my favorite one, which is no hurry, no pause, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and it comes from Tim Ferriss.
Yeah,
And I always share this story, and stories are giving this emotional spice of the conversation that you need to get the attention of the people that they are listening or watching to your podcast. So you start with 30 to 45 to 1 hour long conversations. Then, with your confidence, with your ability that's raising to provide good questions and to make the questions go naturally into a flow. We don't jump. I had the metaphor of the table tennis. You don't answer to questions that are coming like this. It's like question answer, question answer, question answer. You don't do this in a podcast. You let the guest talk.
right.
This is what podcasts are for. If it's not a particular podcast in debating, but it's two people talking over one another, it's making this unlistenable. So don't do this. Find a way to even a debate to make it with the microphones that are muted when one person is speaking. So yeah, then this confidence and the realization that these successful people are coming to my studio. Back in the day, my couch at my home, having my iPad that's over there and my very little uh, lap on clip on lav mics. But as soon as I started having a studio and realized that people are spending 1 hour to get to my office and back to their office or their home, I realized, okay, I'm wasting their time if it's not at least 90 minutes. Then it became 2 hours. Then it
Wow.
became 2.5 hours. And then here in this amazing studio that I'm in right now, for me, usually it's 3 hours. And today I had a 3 hour and 15-minute discussion with a guest that
Beautiful.
in my studio. What it always it's like driving a car. Firstly, you take it for a spin around the 2 3 blocks around you. Then you widen the circle, and then again and again. And next, like in a year, you can probably go to the seaside and you won't be bothered. It's like seaside is far away from Sofia. That's why I'm saying the seaside. If you're living on the ocean, on the Pacific or the Atlantic, it's probably too close for your home. But yeah, you get what I mean. It's like you get experience and you can make conversations that are lengthy but engaging. And you need to have your own magic to do this. It's just I really hate it when people are making boxes. Do a podcast that's 1 hour only. I love Diary of a CEO. Yeah, but this guy has such an amazing team and such a context that they can build for the guest that I cannot do this. I want to have the context, and this is the conversation. How did the person become a superhuman in Bulgaria? Or and this is related to stories and background, not about particular tactics that you use to become a millionaire or to have a successful business. So everyone's podcast should start with, why am I doing this? What's in it for my audience? What's the value that I bring? It's not always the facts. More often it's the stories. So
Yeah.
focus on podcasts that can share stories.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's amazing that you're able to do those 3 hour episodes. And at some point I have to build up my endurance to be able to do that myself.
Yeah, that's why I bought these very, very comfortable couches.
Yeah.
Uh, Quite expensive, but they're like Joey from Friends, that you can pull it like this. You have a rest if you need one. It's like metaphor here is you can fly economy for like 5 hours, and if you fly business or first class for 5 hours, they are the same thing, but it feels like it's different thing.
Yes,
So it's the
absolutely.
same. It's the same with podcasts. You get used to it. If it's comfortable, if it's welcoming to have this in-depth conversation, to share stories, to be like a friendly discussion. Do you remember last time that you sat over lunch with someone that's very interesting to talk to, and the next moment, and you look at your watch, it's like 2 hours had passed like this. And this is what my podcast feels like for me. It's not an universal tactic that everyone should do, but for me, this is what I'm aiming at. Heartfelt, real, authentic stories of people's own way and struggles and obstacles and realizations and um, successes on their own way to becoming people that lead by example.
I love it. Well, I'm curious to know if you also do some episodes that are monologue episodes without a guest.
I've tried this once for my anniversary episode 400 of my own podcast,
Yeah.
because I did a Q&A for Bulgarian youngsters. So I asked people on Instagram, because they don't have a Facebook and they don't have a LinkedIn. So I asked them on Instagram, tell me your questions, give me your questions, and I'm going to make an episode answering all of your questions. And this happened like an year and a half ago, and the outcome was quite interesting, I must say. The questions were great. I hate thinking of questions on behalf of someone. I love it when they shoot straight, they write them down, I read them, and then I answer. And I liked it. I should probably do it for episode 500 again,
All right. I
which
love
is
it.
coming
Yeah.
in. It's coming in 30 weeks, so in half a year.
Okay. I like that. That's a great idea. The questions. What are some of the other ways that you get show topics for your shows?
Show topics. Yeah. Let's say that I have a couple of podcasts that I've been recording. Like one of the podcasts is the good, the bad, and the twisted. It's the jiu-jitsu podcast that I'm doing to support my dojo, my club in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm more or less behind the camera recently, but this is topic that I'm not choosing the topics for this particular podcast. For mine, I choose my guests, not my topic.
Okay.
And this is something that's very interesting, because when choosing the right guests, you can go into different topics. So it's called polythematical podcast. You can go everywhere. You can go from sport, how do you take care of your body, how do you take care of your brain, how do you take care of your kids, how your parenting works, and give me examples of good parenting, bad parenting, whatever. And I'm a researcher of this path, and I'm stopping the people whenever it's something interesting that they've said and ask them, okay, why did you recommend so many science fiction books? You're like an entrepreneur. And people are usually saying because science fiction makes you, helps you dream bigger and look for other ways to handle things. Or I'm just like, making this up, but it can be an interesting insight to every answer, and then can be a subtopic after every answer.
Yeah.
If I was to actually go into topics, I would go after topics that I'm really interested in, passionate about, or really curious about. Let's say I'll take something that's so far away from me, culture and art. I don't know anything about art. I went to Paris 2 years ago and had a cultural tour around the Louvre, Orsay, some other museums, Rodin's museum. I went to Giverny to the house of Claude Monet. And it was really interesting to me because these things are very unknown to me, but I can start from scratch. So there are more people that don't know anything about art, and if you start asking interesting people to come on your podcast to share, okay, tell me about what should art feel like. Because last time I had a conversation with an art person, he said art should provoke emotions. You should not understand it. It's not about understanding art, but
Right.
about provoking emotions. And I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. And then there is the audience of people that want to know about art but did not find the right way, or they thought that their questions are stupid and there are no people to answer them. So you can have this getting into art podcast.
I
And
love it.
here's an idea. On the other end, you can be like, I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm not, I'm a purple belt, but I've spent 6.5 years doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I can start saying, okay, I know so many things in this sport in particular. I'm going to go and dig deeper into every single one. So, like, how to pick your best, like, gi or no gi or whatever equipment, or how to train with weights, how to do yoga for jujitsu. And I mean, you can get very specific into this, but there's also a niche with people that are sharing this same story. So picking topics is very easy, but the topic should be aligned with the vision of the podcast. If it's a podcast for curious people, it can be everything. It can be a podcast for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, should be only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don't come up with an idea about inviting someone to talk about art on your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Yeah,
Right.
the gentle art of folding people while they're still in their clothes, or folding clothes while people are still in their clothes. But yeah, you need context to build topics and link them together like a chain.
Yep. I like that a lot. Um, Now, one of the things that we struggle with in the beginning is how do I take this video or this audio, and how do I process it and get it out to the world? What are some of the things that you found in addition to FluentFrame, obviously, but what's kind of that process like for you?
When I started my podcast, I realized that I don't want to get too technical and learn how to edit and how to work on my audio. I found a friend. We all have friends, and we all have geeky friends that are into like technology and different kind of softwares. I got a friend that was interested in music. He was DJing and also producing electronic music, and I asked him, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And he said, "Yeah, why not?" So I would definitely advise you to have a friend that's you're sharing your hobby with, and explain how important this is to you, and someone that can help you. But I mean, of course, if you're getting any money out of this, you need to be in a way thankful or get him on board with you, because this is a relationship that you need to maintain. If you want to do it solo, I would advise you to dig deeper into Adobe Enhancer or YouTube trainings on how to use DaVinci's Resolve to edit your audio. I mean, nowadays we have such a knowledge that's basically free, as well as softwares that are absolutely free that can help you with almost anything. You can learn how to do it in a couple of days. But for me, I wanted to focus on the discussion and the conversations and the substance, and I wanted someone else to take care of these technical topics. So if I am to start all alone from the beginning, I would definitely dig deeper into the DaVinci's Resolve, because you can edit audio, video, you can add effects, you can even color grade video production absolutely for free on their DaVinci's Resolve version that's not the professional one, which is the studio. And learning how to work with the software, you can also do this for other podcasters. You can make it as a service to help you if you want to quit your job and burn the bridges and go full time into podcasting. And knowing how to do things uh, can be quite important for even for later on when you need someone on board, because you know how to do things. Even if this guy doesn't show up or they do a mistake, you know how to fix everything. So learning what you're doing, me personally, I now set up my own cameras, I can set up my own audio, I can also edit like basic edits, but I can do all of this. And this is something that I've learned in the last 5 years since I started recording it on video. And it's a part of my values to be always on the lookout to learn new things and uh, make myself a bit better with everything that I do. So yeah, Adobe Enhancer is the joker in the pocket. It's like the ace in the sleeve for me right now, because the worst thing that can happen to your podcast is the audio to go bad. And it can happen for one of the three reasons. First, the SD card has run out of space and it stops recording. Second thing would be there's some kind of a noise or buzz that's coming out of the usually of the electricity, and through the cables it goes into the microphone. It sounds like this bzzz, and it's very annoying. And the third one would be um, probably one of the microphones is turned on and the other one is off. And all these three can be saved if there is any recording in the beginning. In the first case, of course, can be saved by Adobe Enhancer. Just upload it there and wait for the miracle.
And I'm sure it has some AI components to help make it easier for you as well.
It's fully automated AI. It's
Yeah.
just you upload it and it works. I had to use it for a conversation with Tomer Tagrin. He's the CEO of Yotpo. Yotpo are e-commerce platform with $1.4 billion market valuation.
Wow.
And I had a conversation with him with wireless mics, and he put the receiver in his pocket. And putting the receiver, it squeezed the wire, and the microphone was not recording. It did not get the signal from his clip-on lav mic
Right.
to the receiver,
Yeah.
and we could hear him through my
Sure.
my mic, and this tool saved us a lot of
Uh,
effort.
I love it though, but it's better than trying to get another time with him, I'm sure.
Especially with him, it would have been very hard because he lives in the States and he comes to Bulgaria once in a year or twice in I don't know, 3, 5 years, depends. Because this guy is amazing. I mean, 2 times cancer survivor, father, 13 years, almost 14, probably 14 years into making this company. Great guy, a great guy.
Nice.
I'm so happy. Not only because Yotpo are supporting my podcast, but because I really like committed people and people on a mission. And Tomer is one hell of a human being. I love his story.
Well, it's beautiful. I think if I'm just going to pull out a few of the threads from our conversation today, the driver for you is that if somebody's going to be hosting a podcast, you want them to be enthusiastic or interested in that topic in a passionate way, so that they can really dig down deep into some of the specifics of learning about it at a deep level. Am I capturing that right, Georgie?
Yes, curiosity is key. Then the beginner's mindset. So don't assume that you know everything. Even if you know something and you disagree with your guest on it, just ask him to get his points on his stance, and this can get you even deeper into a conversation. It can be a wonderful way to discuss your differences, and the podcast is, for me, a very respectful way of communicating, because like you and me right now, you're asking your question, I'm waiting for a question, then I'm having my answer, you're listening closely, actively listening to me, which is something that you cannot skip as a skill of a great host. Active listening allows you to be able to go with the questions flow.
Yeah.
So you build up on your guest's answer, and this is something that I've missed, and I'm really happy that you did this brief on what I've said and summary, and I realize that I've missed this, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I think for me, that is what's been so amazing about podcast hosting, is really being able to have conversations with people and choosing the people I'm having those conversations with. So it's being interested in a topic, and then it's also being interested in the person specifically and bringing them into my world so I can get some of these things I'm curious about satisfied, and then building a relationship that can continue.
This is an amazing benefit for podcast hosts to have the opportunity to speak with such hand-picked people, um, and discuss with them ideas, problems, uh, possible collaborations at one point. Who knows? And yeah, it's something that people underestimate, but I believe this is one of the biggest benefit for the podcast hosts and the podcast creators.
Well, I agree with you, and I am very appreciative of you spending this time with me again in this series that we've created to talk about podcasting and your experience with podcasting, and appreciate the support that FluentFrame is providing. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon, Georgie.
Yeah, Emmanuel, always pleasure talking to you. I love the way that you dig deeper into very important topics, and I really hope that wherever we're discussing and sharing with our audience, it brings them value and it makes them a bit more brave about starting or continuing on their podcast journey.
I agree with you 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Behind the Podcast, Mike. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone else who's thinking about starting or leveling up their podcast. This show is sponsored by FluentFrame, your creative partner in building a podcasting system that works. From professional production to strategic distribution, FluentFrame helps turn your voice into a scalable content engine that drives visibility, trust, and growth. Ready to launch or improve your podcast? Visit influentframe.com to learn how they can help bring your vision to life. Until next time, keep creating, keep connecting, and keep stepping up to the mic.